1 hour of more cut content found in Fallout 4. During the quest Dangerous Minds, you are tasked with delving into Conrad Kellogg's memories to find your son Sean. You experience 7 of his memories, spanning from his childhood to his final days in Diamond City. However, there was originally an 8th memory intended to be part of this quest. This memory, which would have appeared after the operation in Vault 111 and before Diamond City, shows Kellogg being cybernetically enhanced by an Institute scientist. This procedure significantly slowed his aging process and extended his lifespan. If you no-clip through the memory sequence, you can find this scene floating in the darkness. With some work, I was able to partially restore it. Here's what it would have looked like.
This was my reward for the vault job. I'd started getting implants a few years back, but only minor stuff. This was the full deal. The cutting-edge tech they didn't usually let out of the lab. I volunteered for everything. Figured I didn't have anything to lose. Besides, this was kind of their thing. Like killing people was my thing. Why not see what they could do for me? Turned out I was the only one to ever get these installed. At least that's the story I heard. Some kind of complications is all they'd say. Suppose they didn't much care. Something scrambled my brains. Anyway, by that point, I wouldn't let them take the implants out. Come to rely on them too much. Which, looking back, probably one of the reasons they agreed to it in the first place. Give them some leverage over me.
This scene would have also included the scientist talking with Kellogg. The dialogue intended for this moment can actually be heard on a holotape titled Implant Update Session 7, found in the Institute's sublevel 21D. Remember Billy the Kid, trapped in a refrigerator? Originally, you were supposed to be able to persuade him to travel with you. In the final release, these dialogue options are still available, but they don't actually convince Billy to join you. Instead, he just stands around the fridge crying about his parents. This wasn't the intended outcome. Initially, he would have agreed to become your follower.
So you think I should give up trying to find my parents?
Yes, I do. They've been gone for hundreds of years now.
You're right. There's no way they're still alive. I guess I'll come live with you.
The quest stage for this was created in the game files, complete with the appropriate dialogue, but it's not functional. It appears you would have also been able to change Billy's name. Another interesting cut detail about this side quest is that according to some voice lines, you would have had the option to find someone to adopt Billy. You could have asked Horatio, the barber in Vault 81, if he knew anyone willing to adopt him.
Know anyone who would want to adopt Billy?
It's unclear why this quest was connected to Horatio, other than the fact that he claims to be from Quincy. Perhaps he would have informed the player that Billy's parents are still alive, as Billy does have a voice line saying,
You made me think they were dead.
In the Confidence Man side quest, where you help Travis, the Diamond City radio DJ, become more confident, a cut scene was supposed to play out in his trailer. After helping Travis in his fight with Bull and persuading Scarlett, the dugout inn waitress, to go talk with him, the player would have been able to observe a conversation between Travis and Scarlett.
Scarlett? Scarlett? Hi. Hi there. Hey.
Hi, Travis.
What are you, I mean, you're here, why exactly?
Oh, I thought maybe we could talk. You know, alone?
Right, yeah. Sure. Okay.
Travis also has voice lines asking you to leave.
Can you just kind of just give us a minute or two? Hey, could you, leave?
A couple of workshop objects were left unused. An unused Institute abstract painting, a water cooler that would have functioned similarly to a water fountain, an alternative version of a shack bridge and a wooden shack wall, a cut-mounted minigun that could have been crafted and placed in any of your settlements, providing a defense value of 10 with settlers able to be assigned to it, and Mr. Brewer, a personal brewery that you could have built in your settlement. Commonwealth GS Radstorm Old is a cut weather type still found in the game files that was once part of the core game. As the name suggests, this was the original Radstorm. The glowing sea and the radiation within it were also originally meant to function differently. At one point, it was intended that the player would take constant radiation damage while inside the glowing sea, with the intensity increasing as they got closer to the crater of Adam. The children of Adam have a bunch of cut content as well. In the crater house located south of Salem, a terminal should have contained a cut holotape titled The Great Division, which would have included scripture describing the creation myth of the children of Adam in 5 parts. Additionally, at Kingsport Lighthouse, just south of the crater house, an unused character named Confessor Adalia was meant to appear at the top of the lighthouse.
Wash away your suffering in Adam's glow!
Instead, a raider character appears in the base game, which was likely a developer oversight. In Far Harbor, after joining the Children of Adam, Grand Zealot Richter gives you a side quest called The Heretic, and asks you to hunt down Sister Gwyneth, a former member who has been vandalizing the children's altars around the island. After finding her, if you convince her to return to the Children of Adam, she will come back to the nucleus a day or 2 later, and silently pray and walk around the area without saying anything. It turns out she was supposed to say several things upon her return, but for some reason the dialogue never plays.
Grand Zealot Richter convinced the High Confessor to show mercy. I can stay as long as I remain faithful. I can barely believe it. Never again will I turn my back on Adam. My devotion has never been stronger. Thank you for helping me see the truth. Not everyone has forgiven me, but it's still good to be home.
A cut note titled Fanatical Writings was to be found on the Child of Adam you encountered during the Walk in a Park quest while trying to reach Acadia. It would have read, "They doubted my devotion to Adam, but I'll show them what true faith looks like. I had a vision last night. I approached a group of heretics, and when they turned and saw me, they opened fire, but their shots passed right through me. I approached them, and the flames of Adam love leapt out from, disintegrating their form in an instant. I know what Adam wants me to do." Typically, when switching companions in Fallout 4, they'll react and make a comment. But have you ever noticed that when you swap a companion for dog meat, they don't say anything at all? Interestingly, the voice lines for this were recorded, but they never made it into the final release.
Come on, boy. It's time to go.
That thing food, not fighter. After human eats it, come find strong.
I doubt this canine can match my tactical prowess in battle, but it's your decision.
Oh, come on. You replacing me with a dog? That's just insulting.
Whoa, being benched for the mutt? Ouch.
I'm telling you right now, if dog meat gets you killed, I'm turning him into a fur coat.
Taking up with dog meat, huh? Well, you two play nice out there.
Replaced by man's best friend. I suppose I can't be too dismayed.
Don't let this one get you in too much trouble, boy.
Fascinating, the bond between human and animal.
Another interesting cut feature would have allowed players to have dog meat and a standard companion at the same time, just like in Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Dog meat actually has a separate follower script, named Player has Dog Meat Companion active, unlike the standard Player has Companion active script used by other companions. Scott Edwards, a security officer in Vault 81, has cut voice lines acknowledging the player having both dog meat and another companion with them when first entering the vault.
Ma'am, what about his dog and, friend here?
I'll allow it. Security is already extra mindful as it is.
Companions also have cut reactions to Elder Maxon on the Pridwin when he talks about caring for the people of the Commonwealth.
Turning your weapons on the very same people that you're trying to save can be a bitter pill to swallow.
Are you hearing this? He's gonna save us by destroying us.
It needn't be swallowed at all, if you ask me. Not all answers lead to bloodshed, you know. Especially that of innocent people.
The difference is, our war won't reduce civilization to ashes.
The claim of every tyrant. Don't worry, my war will be better.
Sounds like empty rhetoric to me. No war is just but mine.
I refuse to allow the mistakes of the past to be repeated.
You just want to tell people how they should live their damn lives.
Learning cannot be contained. By stifling it, it can make the flames burn ever brighter.
Yeah, Maxie. You should let the kids play with matches. How else are they gonna learn that it burns?
Who gives a damn about this world anymore? It's long past done.
I think by now many of you know about the cut underwater Vault 120 and how it was supposed to be connected to the quest called 20 Leagues Under the Sea. But did you know that in Fallout 76's data files, there are actual remnants of the vault itself, giving us a glimpse of what it might have looked like. This would have been the starting area, where together with Captain Zhao, we would have crashed the Yangtze submarine in front of the vault's entrance. Although the vault entrance itself uses a reused Vault 11 door, it's interesting to see the airlock that is colored red with atmospheric containment detector written on the walls. Moving further into the vault, we can find an abandoned power armor, as well as an area with multiple generators. A long hallway would have connected two large areas of the vault, where you could have looked out through the windows at the ocean floor. In this cell, there's also the crashed Yangtze submarine. Some sections of the vault would have been flooded, indicating that some sort of accident occurred. Exploring the area further reveals that the vault's residents were experimenting with mutated dolphins, and that one of the tanks burst open, flooding the area. Finally, the last large cell in the vault is where we would have supposedly encountered a large sentient squid, which might have also been the overseer of the entire vault. It's fascinating to look at all these unfinished cells and imagine what could have been. If implemented, I think this would have been one of the coolest Fallout vaults ever created. Maddox, the chem merchant in the Nuka Town market, has a lot of unused dialogue that we don't get to hear while playing the DLC. Instead of immediately offering to sell you chems, he was supposed to ask if you were up for the job of being the overboss, and provide more background information on himself.
So you up for this? Ready to take charge and keep the peace between three of the nastiest raider gangs in the wasteland? Ain't gonna be easy, I can promise you that. I was a raider once myself, so I know how difficult they can be.
You were a raider? What happened?
Yeah, a long time ago. Got in a scrap and almost bought it. Decided the lifestyle wasn't worth dying for, so I got out. Kicked around a few settlements trying to live straight. Got thrown out of them all. Hard to change your ways, you know? Came out here a few years back and was finally making it work. Then Coulter and his gang showed up. Can't outrun your past, I guess. Sooner or later, it's gonna catch up with you.
He also would have given you a side quest to collect 10 pieces of bloodworm meat in exchange for some Calmex silk.
Well, hey, I'm glad you stopped by. See, I'm the keeper of the sweet stuff around here. I've got chems for all your needs. But that's not all. I've also got a proposition. Just for you.
All right, let's hear it.
Hey, yes sir, yes sir. I've always had a gift for brewing chems. See, the trick is to experiment with your ingredients. Try everything, because you never know, right? The other day, I cooked up a real sweet blend of Calmex. This was solid gold, man. I mean, this was diamond dust. Now, I'd love to make some for you, being the big bad boss that you are, but I'm gonna need a lot more bloodworm meat to do it.
Oh, good. I was afraid you might be using questionable ingredients.
The best mixers know that you can't achieve greatness without a little, imagination. Can't exactly go out there with this color on, but you can go anywhere you please. I figured 10 hunks of bloodworm meat should do the trick, and then I'll show you just what kind of magic I can make.
This is why you can randomly turn in bloodworm meat when talking to him in the final game without any explanation. The initial dialogue that was supposed to play is not working and was left unused. A cut character named Dolly Madison was meant to appear in a random encounter, but only if Hancock was your companion. She would have been an old friend of his, and the two would have recognized each other and interacted during the encounter.
Naya, I finally got what you asked. I'm so sorry. Are we okay now?
Well, about damn time. Yeah, you and me, we're square. Now get out of here. I got places to be.
Now let's explore some of the cut outfits, armor, and decals in Fallout 4. After helping the Atom Cats, you were supposed to receive a unique Atom Cats decal for combat armor, but this decal was ultimately left unused. Additionally, there were plans for players to wear dog collars and chain dog collars on their arms. According to Fallout 4's concept art, Irma, the co-proprietress of the Memory Den, was intended to have alternative outfits, including a special garb with a hat and red-colored hooded rags. Theodore Collins, the man running Longneck Lokowski's cannery, was also meant to wear a unique suit instead of the random settler clothes he wears in the final game. Furthermore, Agatha's dress, awarded to the sole survivor by Rex Goodman upon completing the Curtain Call side quest as a female character, was intended to have a slightly different appearance that was never used. Instead, the regular sequin dress version ended up being used. There are also unused variations of metal helmets in light, medium, and heavy styles. The heavy version includes a helmet, goggles, and a scarf. The medium version has just a helmet and goggles, and the light version features only goggles. The Silver Shroud quest contains a significant amount of cut content. When confronting Wayne Delancey in the Silver Shroud costume and speaking in character, your companions were supposed to make unique comments about it.
Your crimes have gone unpunished for too long.
What the hell's wrong with you? Well, nothing a few bullets won't cure.
Not bad. I'd still keep a firearm handy, but honestly, not bad.
I recommend a mental health examination when you return to the Institute.
Why human talk funny?
You know, I always figured you'd be great on radio. You got the looks for it.
Oh, that's perfect. You should be talking like that all the time.
Yes. Maybe you should stick with being a soldier.
After killing Kendra, you can receive an optional objective to eliminate her target, Shelley Tiller, and collect a payment of 500 caps. At the time of collecting the payment, some companions were meant to react, either praising or shaming you for carrying out the assassination.
I wish you'd learn to act for the greater good, not to line your pockets with caps.
I hope those caps were worth sullying yourself like that.
Human fight good. Good kill.
Sir, that was quite uncalled for. Since when are caps more valuable than another human life?
Nice work. So, are we, done here?
Later in the main quest, when tasked with taking out Northy, a member of Sinjin's gang, located south of Wad's Consumer Electronics, he was supposed to have cut voice lines where as he fled in terror, he would have yelled out how scared he was.
Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! No, that's him! That's the Shroud! Oh, keep the Shroud away from me! Oh god! No! Oh god, he killed Delancey! We even got Kendra! No, you're just human, Shroud! They're gonna kill you!
After dealing with Northy and Smiling Kate, Sinjin kidnaps Kent, the ghoulified radio technician running Silver Shroud Radio, and issues a challenge to the Shroud to come save him at the gang's stronghold in Milton General Hospital. Originally, when you first entered the hospital, a PA system recording of Sinjin torturing Kent was meant to play, but this was cut from the game.
Please, make it stop. Oh. Your friends arrived, Ken. Do you mind if I call you Ken? Here's the thing about cops and robbers. The bad guys always win. You see, the good guy has too many things he cares about. Family, friends, little school kids, maybe some morals. Whereas a bad guy, he just wants the money. So what happens when you start taking apart the bad guy's empire? When you start ripping him off? When you start making a fool of him, Ken, and you've got someone that will stop at absolutely nothing to take back what's his. Shroud, better get here soon. Ken's beginning to bore me.
Upon reaching the hospital's basement, where Sinjin, his right-hand Avery, and two other raiders are holding a bound Kent, an additional dialogue option was intended if you weren't wearing the Silver Shroud costume. You could have asked Kent, what would the Shroud do, which would have encouraged him to act and free himself. Unfortunately, no unique animations or scenes for this moment remain.
Kent, what would the Shroud do?
He'd... Episode 23.
Alternatively, if you chose to kill Kent immediately after exiting the elevator, your companions were supposed to react to your decision.
What the... I can't believe you did that. The Brotherhood does not execute innocents. That was tantamount to murder.
Sir, Mr. Kent, you didn't even make an effort to save him.
Kent's blood is on your hands now. Guess you saved Sinjin the trouble.
You killed that guy in cold blood. I'm so proud of you.
We could have gotten Kent out of that alive.
Holy crap. That guy went down like a sack of potatoes.
That human weak. Best to kill the weak.
After returning to Goodneighbor to complete the quest with Hancock, one of the cut rewards for completing the quest was supposed to be a perk that would have increased your luck points. In the Murawski Heist side quest obtained after finishing the Diamond City Blues quest, there is a cut interaction that you would have been able to have with Henry Cooke, which would have allowed you to blackmail him with the photo and play off Cooke, Latimer, and Murawski against each other. Usually Cooke is long gone after the chem deal if you chose not to kill him, and by the time Darcy finds and gives you the Murawski Heist photo. However, originally it was intended that Henry Cooke would have stayed in Diamond City, and you would have been able to blackmail him with the photo.
I found an old photograph of you. I thought you might want it back.
God damn it. Where'd you get that?
Do you know what photo I'm talking about?
I've got a pretty good idea. Me, Paul Pembroke, and Malcolm Latimer, looking about 20 years younger. Not hard to guess, since I've only had one picture taken of me in my life. So, here we are. You've got it, I want it. What now?
The price would have to be right.
I'll pay you 300 caps to save myself from being hassled by Murawski's low-rent wise guys. Take it or leave it.
I think it's worth a lot more than that.
Okay, I'll play the game. 500 caps, but that's it.
Deal. Here's the photo.
Okay then. I think we're done here.
When asking Phyllis Daly, the confused woman living in Egrettor's Marina, about her story and why she thinks she's a synth, companions with you should have reacted to her and made comments during the interaction.
Tell me what's going on.
They've got something they use to control us, to make us do things we don't want to do.
Protocol states that rogue synths should be reported to the SRB.
Why do we not crush the puny human?
I'm pretty sure synth infiltrators know they're synths. Well, probably.
You gonna let this wave a gun around in your face?
You gonna take that risk? If she's really a synth...
I could see this being most distressing.
Sounds like there's a story here.
You know our stance on synths.
Also, after hearing her story, usually you can either offer her to join the Minutemen, tell her to leave the Commonwealth, or just tell her to live with it. But there were supposed to be even more options planned for this encounter that ended up being cut, like telling Phyllis to go to Covenant and take the test.
What if I knew someone who could help you?
Who the hell do you think is gonna help a synth, kid?
Go to Covenant and tell them I sent you to take the test. They can tell if you're a synth.
I'll think about it.
After a couple of days, she would have been found in the compound, locked in a cell, with a final goodbye note on her that reads, "I thought they would be able to help me figure out if I'm a synth or not, but all they do is keep asking me about a baseball team, hours and hours over the same question. Either I am, and this is some form of torture, or they have no idea either. I can't take it anymore. Samuel, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything." Another cut option would have been to report her to the Institute, either to Justin Ayo or Allie Fillmore.
I'll talk to the SRB. They should know if you're a synth.
Kid, I don't know what the hell the SRB is, but I would appreciate it if you didn't joke around about this.
I ran across an old woman named Phyllis Daly who thinks she's a synth.
Again? It's probably nothing, but we can never be too careful, I guess. I'll send a courser for cleanup.
And the third, final option would have been to ask the railroad to help her.
I know a group who can help you. Let me get in touch with them, and they'll send someone out who might be able to tell if you are a synth.
I ran across an old woman named Phyllis Daly who thinks she's a synth.
That doesn't sound like anyone from our lists, but we'll send an agent to see if we can help her.
After some time, if you returned back to the Egrettor's Marina, she would have been gone and would have left a note behind that reads, "Hey kid, if you're reading this, I just wanted to say thanks. Your friends in the railroad came and they are helping me get a fresh start. Sorry about the gun, and thanks for helping me through a hard time, Phyllis." When activating a Protectron and assigning it the Subway Steward personality, interacting with it will result in it asking you for a Subway token and immediately turning hostile. But it wasn't supposed to be like that. Originally, the Protectron was intended to give you at least 3 warnings before attacking, and you should have been able to actually give it a Subway token.
Please present your Subway token. Subway tokens are required for all riders. Please, may I see yours? Final warning. Present a Subway token. You have 5 seconds to comply. Rider token received. Thank you for riding Folston's historic subway system.
After helping the Mariner strengthen Far Harbor's defenses, she will reveal that she is terminally ill, with no cure, and that she only has a limited amount of time left. Following her final adventure to find and defeat the Red Death to ensure the town's continued safety, she will thank the player for their help and continue to hang around the town. But no matter how long you wait, she never actually dies, suggesting that she might have had more time than she believed. However, looking through the quest files reveals that she was supposed to disappear from the game and leave behind 2 different notes, depending on how you interact with and support her during conversations. One outcome would have had her sail away and leave a note titled Mariner's Goodbye, which would have simply said, "Gone fishing, Mariner." And the other note, titled Mariner's Will, would have been left if she had ended it all and left her will for the people of Far Harbor. It would have read, "I leave the docks and all of my property to the community. Don't let our sacrifices be in vain. Take what we've started here and build something greater. Prove yourself worthy of living on this island. Mariner." The Institute has a lot of cut content. For example, they were originally supposed to have different looking field outfits. In the base game, during the Vault 11 abduction scene, they ended up using the basic Institute science outfit. Instead, according to Fallout 4's concept art, it seems Bethesda initially had plans for something much more cooler looking. Synths were also envisioned wearing different looking uniforms, featuring retro-style blue outfits, armor padding, helmets with face shields, and additional optional armor pieces. It's not entirely clear why the specific design was replaced with what we got in the final game, but perhaps Bethesda wanted to avoid making them look too similar to the Vault-Tec security armor, which similarly uses a blue vault suit with comparable padding and armor. The Institute was even planned to have its own power armor and weapons, such as the V3N Courser bio rifle. This weapon was designed to disintegrate enemies using a unique fast-spreading bacteria that consumes organic tissue. According to the concept art, the rifle was particularly effective against high HP regenerating enemies. In the Institute itself, 2 COD holotapes were intended to appear. One was meant to be available for download from a terminal in the robotics division, featuring Max Loken expressing his concerns about his colleague Alan Bennett's relationship with a synth pretending to be his wife.
I know we've discussed this matter before, but I'm not sure I've made the extent of my concerns clear to you. Many of us are increasingly uncomfortable with the idea of a synth living with Dr. Benet. Frankly, many of us believe Alan doesn't understand how inappropriate his relationship with the 3rd generation unit is.
And the other was supposed to be available in the Synth Retention Bureau, where Justin Ayo would discuss Watchers and their deployment in Diamond City.
Watcher Initiative Testing Log Entry 6. Acting Director Justin Ayo speaking. We've concluded the 3rd round of surface testing, and the results are promising. We're receiving valuable data across a broad spectrum and in real time. With the improved monitoring, I'm confident we'll be able to expand our operations on the surface. I intend to request additional units from robotics for immediate deployment in Diamond City. End log entry.
An unused hologram of the child synth Sean was intended to appear somewhere in the game. It is speculated that it would have been part of the quest reunions, where using dog meat you search for clues to find Kellogg and your son. The hologram might have been intended as one of those clues. In the Far Harbor DLC, there is a cut courser named Reinhardt VII, who was meant to be connected to Vault 118, suggesting that the Institute might have had some involvement with this vault. Another piece of cut content is Liam's algorithm, a perk that would have been available during the Plugging a Leak side quest. This perk was designed to boost the player's hacking skills. And finally, the Institute Gourd is an unused consumable that would have been sold by Institute vendors after you completed the Building a Better Crop side quest. Similarly to what was mentioned earlier with Dogmeat, when switching a companion for X688, no interaction occurs between the two, even though voice lines for it were recorded. Unfortunately, due to unfinished work, we never get to hear them in-game.
Let's move out.
Right behind you, sir.
So, anyone ask about me down there in the Institute?
Why? Would you like a return visit?
You really taking up with this Institute bootlicker?
It would appear he's had his fill of topside garbage.
Fake man dangerous. Good fighter, but can't trust.
Your opinion is of no concern to me.
Let me give you some advice, X6.
If you want to meet someone, you need to lose the name. It's a real turn-off.
Your logic appears flawed. I meet people all the time.
Get that damn synth away from me before I shoot it in the head.
If you attempt violence, I will respond accordingly.
I am so curious about just everything in the Institute.
Watch it, Curie. The graveyard's full of people that got too curious.
If you trust him, General, then I guess I have to stop worrying.
No harm will come to him while he's under my protection.
Godspeed, X688. I know I can rest easy with someone of your skill at my master's side.
He couldn't be in better hands.
Your turn, X6. I'm tapped out.
I'm ready to take over.
Well, if it isn't the Institute's little errand boy.
Spare me your quips, Ms. Wright. Some of us have real work to do.
Ironsides, the SentryBot captain of the USS Constitution, has 3 unused voice lines. After helping him restore the ship's engines, he will, with the help of his navigator, fly the ship straight into a skyscraper. If you then take the elevator up there and speak to Ironsides, he will proclaim the flight a success and reward you with the captain's quarters. However, if you talk to him again, he will begin repeating the same dialogue endlessly. As it turns out, he was supposed to use the 3 unused voice lines after rewarding you, which would have prevented the dialogue loop.
Hey, Captain.
Once the lookouts repaired, enemy vessels will be spotted with ease. From our new vantage, no scavenger would dare assail us. Well done. Well done indeed.
There's a cut random encounter where Ben Gibson, a former Minuteman, would have been found fighting a group of raiders. If Preston Garvey was with you and you chose to help Ben out, a scene between him and Preston would have followed.
Ben, what are you doing out here?
Well, I'll be goddamned. Garvey. You stuck with the Minutemen, huh?
Yeah, I sure did. You?
Well, you know, after Quincy, I just couldn't see it was worth anything anymore. So, I've been kinda on my own since then. About that. You know that wasn't my call, right? Nobody wanted to leave you and Hollis hung out to dry, but,
Don't worry about it, Ben. I don't hold grudges. But here you are, still fighting raiders. You could have that actually mean something, you know.
What? You mean, join back up? You serious?
Yeah, I am. The Minutemen before Quincy? Well, that isn't how it is anymore. We're helping people, for real this time. And we're gonna make it last.
I don't know about that, Garvey. Things went real bad. You of all people should know that. No offense, but I don't see why things are gonna turn out any different this time around.
Afterwards, you could have spoken to Ben and recruited him back into the Minutemen.
You must be the one I've heard about. The new general people are talking about. Who are you? I knew your friend Garvey. Back in the old days in the Minutemen. He's a real good guy. But I guess you already know that.
What do you think, General? Ben here had a good reputation in the old Minutemen. We could use him back.
I don't know, Preston. Do you really trust him?
Yeah, I do. The problems before were with the leadership, not the rank and file.
We can always use a new recruit.
What do you say, Ben? Want to give it another try?
Well, I've been hearing good things about the Minutemen lately. What the hell? I'm in if you'll have me. Where do you need me, General?
A terminal, internally named DN169 Garage Subterminal, was initially meant to be found in the Public Works Maintenance area, which you access during the Minutemen's Nuclear Option Quest. It contains 3 entries written by someone named Franklin Higgs, seemingly created just after the bombs fell. In the first entry, he writes, "I don't know how long it's been since we were trapped in here, but we finally managed to hotwire into the generator to get some power. We don't know what happened on the surface, but the upper floors of the parking garage have collapsed and we can't find a way through. Since it was a Sunday when the collapse happened, it was just me, a couple of other professors, and a handful of grad students. One of the students was helping move terminals to one of the other labs with his car, so I've gotten this hooked up so we can keep a journal in case of the worst. Next entry, as best we can tell, it has been 2 weeks that we've been stuck down here. We've been trying to check the radio at each of the vehicles for a short time each day so their batteries don't short out, and we just managed to pick up some sort of looping transmission, something from the military saying to evacuate the city. It was too broken up to hear, but that would explain why there haven't been any rescue efforts by now. One of the trucks was stocking the university vending machines, so we've still got food, but if I ever get out of here, I don't want to see a Dandy Boy apple ever again. And in the last entry he writes, "We've given up on outside rescue, so we're taking matters into our own hands. We can see the elevator on the other side of the lodge truck, and according to the university blueprints, there should be a water main leading to one of the sub-basement labs in the central hall on the other side of the shaft. If we can find a way to get to it and blow a hole through the wall, we should be able to reach it. We've started pulling fusion cores and whatever else we can find, and are going to try to blow up a hole to the lower level so we can reach the ramp to the elevator. Let's just hope this place is still stable enough to take a blast." It seems these entries describe the first weeks and months of the surviving scientists trapped beneath the CIT after the Great War. Possibly the founders, or at least the parents of the founders, of what would eventually become the Institute. Franklin Higgs may also be an ancestor of Lawrence Higgs, whom we meet in the game. According to the Brotherhood's deck scribe faction list, 2 more scribes were supposed to appear on the Pridwin's deck doing maintenance work, and the scribes found inside the Pridwin were originally meant to wear white lab coats with the Brotherhood symbol on them. A cut character named Scribe Collins, internally named Deck Officer, was also meant to appear on the Pridwin's deck, but only during the Rocket's Red Glare quest. The scribe still has some unused voice lines, indicating that she would have been more than just a generic NPC.
Strange. Never mind, let's get her fixed up. When your medic is done, let me know right away.
Lancer Captain Kells initially was meant to wear a black leather trench coat based on a reskinned version of Piper's red one. The outfit was eventually scrapped, and Kells ended up wearing his unique variant of the Brotherhood fatigues. The Exo-1 power armor has an unused Brotherhood color scheme with a Brotherhood symbol on the chest. It would have unlocked after obtaining the rank of Paladin. During the Tour of Duty quest, Proctor Quinlan for some reason skips his dialogue if you ask him about books.
What are you doing with all these books?
I suppose I could stop working for a moment to address your question.
Not providing you with an actual answer. Restoring his voice lines will reveal what he should have said.
I suppose I could stop working for a moment to address your question. My responsibility aboard the Pridwin is to sort through the books discovered by our recovery teams and extract pertinent information from them. It's tedious work, since most of the volumes are a waste of paper. Works of fiction, poetry, you understand.
At one point during the game's development, it was planned that after doing a certain amount of quests for one of the main factions, the player would have been rewarded with faction-specific perks. Like for instance, the Brotherhood would have rewarded you with an Initiate perk that would cause you to take 10% less damage from feral ghouls, super mutants, and synths. The Knight perk that would reduce fusion core explosions, making them smaller, and the Paladin perk that would cause you to recover health while wearing power armor. The Railroad also would have had 3 faction-specific perks. The Secret Agent perk that would have made the Stealth Boy effects last 10 seconds longer, the Station Master perk giving you a 5% bonus on selling items, and the Heavy perk that would have caused you to do 10% extra damage to synths and Institute foes. A cut note was once meant to be found at a workshop inhabited by 2 cats near the Nuka world Red Rocket, titled Hasty Letter, that reads, "Damn these raiders, they took Nuka world and pushed out or enslaved the traders there. It's too dangerous for me to stay here anymore, but there's no way I can take the cats with me. If you're reading this and have somewhere safe, please give Luna and Katana a good home." In Scribe Haylen's terminal, located in the Cambridge police station, multiple entries can be found of her reacting to different events associated with the main Brotherhood questline. Like for instance, after the Show No Mercy quest, she would write about the retaking of Fort Strong. In total, 10 entries were meant to appear on her terminal, but one of them is missing. In it, she would have talked about meeting the player character for the first time. It would have read, "Some kind of a Vault Dweller wandered into our compound today and helped us put down some ferals. It was nice to have some help for a change. I think he's going to stick around for a while." Danse seems to have latched onto him, but Reyes thinks our new friend might be up to something. I think this new guy's okay, but I'll keep an eye on him just in case. Speaking of Fort Strong, its interiors have several unused scripted states. As part of its location control quest, the N046, this control quest would add or remove various props and debris inside the armory. In the final game, all this quest does is it removes the rubble rubble blocking the sublevel elevator, but according to its script notes, Fort Strong's interior would have had 3 different versions, or states. The initial first version would have had the place infested with feral ghouls, rather than super mutants. The second version would have had the Brotherhood actively fighting the ghouls, presumably during the Show No Mercy quest. The rubble would have also been removed from the staircase and the upper floor doorway, making it possible to reach the inaccessible north wing of the building, and the third version would have removed the wooden rubble between the entrance and the back hallway, and would have had the Brotherhood fully occupy and fortify the Fort Strong armory and sublevel, as Elder Maxon says would have happened at the end of the quest.
I've also ordered a detachment to occupy the location, and use it as a staging area to protect the eastern side of the airport. You handed us quite a valuable location.
The sweater vest and slacks, t-shirt and slacks, and the laundered pink dress have unused dirty versions of them that never appear in the final game. There are over 50 unused map markers that were never implemented, mostly meant to appear in downtown Boston and the surrounding areas, as well as some in the DLCs. Several addictions were cut from the game, like the mysterious serum addiction that would have caused the player character to suffer a 1-point penalty to strength and radiation resistance, Nuka-Cola quantum addiction that would have affected the player's strength, and a Buzz Bites addiction, making the player lose 20 action points, caused by Slocum's Buzz Bites. Feral ghouls were once intended to drop their own unique ghoul meat that you would have been able to cook and consume. It would have restored your health by 10, but increased radiation by 10 also. Another gross cut consumable can be found in a test cell called Test Corey 01, where on a table in a room with a bunch of cutouts, you can obtain flying ant meat, a kind of meat salvaged from ant swarms. Angler Gunk is a cut junk item that was to be found in the Far Harbor DLC. It was originally intended to be broken down into individual components to be used in crafting, and would have provided 3 adhesive when scrapped. Robotic Bits is a cut piece of armor that Nick Valentine would have had on him. It would have provided a +1 bonus to perception and occupied the eye slot. Whenever a legendary enemy gets below 50% health, a legendary enemy has mutated message occurs. This message is the same regardless of the mutation, so it's never very clear what exactly this mutation does. Well, as it turns out, in the game files there are unused unique messages that describe each mutation, most likely never implemented because of oversight. Did you know that almost all of the companions have unused reactions for when you kill innocent people? It's unclear if these were enabled when the game first released back in 2015, but they're definitely not available now. They may have been disabled because it's so easy to accidentally kill innocent bystanders. These reactions are also different from the dialogue you get from Negative Affinity. From my own research, it seems companions really hate it when you shoot Diamond City residents.
Hold up. We need to talk about what you did. Right now.
What did I do?
Are you honestly telling me you have no idea what I'm talking about? I don't know how you think the Brotherhood of Steel operates, but the one thing we never do is murder the innocent. I don't care what sort of technology they're sitting on. If they aren't getting in our way or taking up arms against us, they aren't the enemy.
I don't have to answer to you.
The hell you don't. I'm your commanding officer. Look, I hope I'm getting through to you. I'm not trying to make things difficult between us. I'm just trying to keep you from straying off the path. Let's just move on and forget that this ever happened. In the future, just try and remember why we're out here.
What's wrong with you?
Where do you want me to start?
Jokes? Now? Someone is dead because of you. And I know, sometimes you have to get your hands dirty. But this person didn't do anything. They weren't a raider. Their only mistake was meeting you. A mistake I'm suddenly regretting myself. I never expected you'd be capable of something like this. So what have you got to say for yourself?
Who put you in charge?
I guess someone had to be, given your sudden lack of judgment. So let me make this one last decree. This never happens again.
Hey, listen up. I'm not planning to say this again.
Something wrong, buddy?
You bet there is. You killed someone in cold blood. No investigation, no deliberation. Now, some folks out there deserve a bullet for breakfast. But where the hell's your damn proof this one did? I never expected something like this from someone like you. How long has this been hiding in there?
What makes you think you can judge me? You've taken a life.
What you did, it doesn't compare. You killed an innocent person. So what have you got to say for yourself?
I'm in charge here, Nick. What I say goes. You'd better get used to that.
Well, then maybe you ought to get used to not having old Nick to boss around. Because if something like this happens again, I'm gone. Understand?
Hold up. You and me, we got some things to discuss.
Is something wrong?
You kidding me, right? Look, I'm not gonna pretend I've got the cleanest hands. But I'm not about to stand by while you take the lives of people that didn't earn it. So I'm only gonna say this once. You need to start putting the right people in your crosshairs, or else you and I are gonna have a problem.
Are you serious? The first time we met, you killed a man right in front of me.
Because I thought I was trying to protect some doe-eyed vault dweller from getting taken for everything they had. I guess if I had just let him, he'd probably have ended up the same.
You're not in charge, Hancock. I make the decisions around here.
Well, then maybe it's time you decide how much longer you want me around. Because this happens again, you and me are done.
We need to talk about what you did. Right now.
Something wrong?
Not yet. Just call it a friendly warning. If we want to stay at the top of our game, we need every bit of loot we can get our hands on. If that means offing a few innocents along the way, then so be it. At the same time, I don't want to be known as the mass murderer of the Commonwealth. A title like that tends to bring too much heat. So I guess all I'm asking is that you watch the body count. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem.
Why do you care? You're a mercenary.
You're right. I am a mercenary, which means I get paid to kill. I don't go on massive murdering sprees to satisfy some kind of weird bloodlust. See the difference?
Too bad. I do things my way, not yours.
Well, guess what, Chief? Your way is going to have every paid gun in the Commonwealth after us. You really want that kind of heat? I'm not trying to run your life. You can do whatever the hell you want. I'm just saying, if you're going down the road to Crazy Town, I'm not going with you.
We need to talk, man. Now.
Are you ticked off at me?
Yeah, I am. And you know why. I can't stand by while you murder innocent people. I'm still making my mind up about you. And this makes me really question my decision to offer you my friendship.
What I do is none of your business.
It's good to know where you stand. And how much you value our friendship.
Mr. Nate, a moment if you will. I have something to say.
When do you not have something to say?
Ah, yes, my host protocol. You can blame General Atomics for that one, sir. I wanted to check up on your state of mind after the accidental killing of that poor innocent back there. I have been programmed to handle mental trauma and therapy needs, if you remember. Nothing would please me more than to assist in lightening any mental burdens you may be carrying. I mean, it was an accident, was it not?
Was it an accident?
Let's just say it was and leave it at that. Plenty of other things about that require your attention, sir, especially finding young Sean. Besides, I'm afraid if your actions were intentional, it'd have much more dire consequences between the two of us. I simply couldn't allow myself to remain in your service, and I wouldn't have the slightest idea what to do with myself.
Sir, we need to discuss your tactics for a moment.
I get the distinct feeling I'm in for a lecture.
Not a lecture, sir. Just an observation. I know you've been in your share of fights. I'm not questioning your abilities in that regard. On the contrary, you're one of the most efficient killers I've ever met. And I've met quite a few. The thing is, you're a little too enthusiastic about it. You're eliminating targets that aren't our enemies. Normally, I wouldn't give a mole rat's about offing some Commonwealth lowlife. But too much of that will attract unwanted attention. It'll be easier to do our jobs if we don't have every bounty hunter from here to the capital wasteland after us.
A little more discretion is all you need.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell me about my tactics? Or was that it?
No, sir. That was all. Thanks for hearing me out.
Hey, we need to talk. Right now.
If we have to.
Yeah, we have to. I know we're both doing whatever we need to do to stay alive. And I'm willing to watch your back like you've been watching mine. But I can't stand watching you murder innocent people that aren't even getting in our way.
I don't have to answer to you.
You don't have to answer to anyone. But if you keep killing innocents like that, you're gonna find yourself without a partner.
That's it. We're talking. What the hell was that?
You don't want to lay into me.
Like hell I don't. I'm an easygoing guy, but there is a goddamn line. We don't kill innocents. Sometimes these Institute bastards catch us in a crossfire or there's friendly fire. Those I can deal with because it's an occupational hazard, but that was murder. You do that again, and we're parting ways.
A terminal was meant to appear at the sole survivor's old house in Sanctuary, featuring cut entries from either Nate or Nora. If you chose to play as a female character or Nora, your spouse's or Nate's entries would have appeared. One of these entries would have been an alternative version of the speech Nate gives at the beginning of the game for his Veterans Hall address. War is hell. Back when my great-great-grandfather was in the army, the US ended World War II by dropping atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We've come so far since then, haven't we? Technology has given us domestic robots, fusion-powered cars, portable computers. But we're fooling ourselves. Today, in 2077, we're on the brink of total war. What good are high-tech toys now? They can help us escape, but we can't escape the violence in our hearts. War is hell, and if we don't change our ways, we're all going to burn. On the bottom, he notes, too weak, too bleak. Focus on family and future. His other entries are categorized under personal files. In them, he talks about taking Sean trick-or-treating on Halloween, having a date night in Boston, getting drinks with Fox Company, and being nervous before his speech at the Veterans Hall. Alternatively, if you play as a male soul survivor, Nate, the cut terminal would feature entries from your wife. These entries include notes about Codsworth possibly messing with her, surprising you or Nate with a gift, and a list of materials needed to make Sean's devil costume for Halloween. Under her professional entries, 2 cases are listed, Blanks vs. Kelly and Massachusetts vs. Silva. These entries describe your spouse's thoughts on the cases. Blanks vs. Kelly, Gina shouldn't have even had me review this one. It's a pretty clear non-starter. 2 professional fighters go at it in the ring. One of them loses badly and claims the winner cheated. Doesn't say how, and nothing backs up his claim. Seems like a pretty clear case of sore loseritis. Boo-hoo. Pass. Massachusetts vs. Silva. I just can't see how the Commonwealth even has a case here. Corsino Silva, 23-year-old Roxbury resident of Cape Verde descent, charged with the armed robbery of a Slocum's Joe coffee shop. But there's simply no hard evidence, just the word of Gazzelli, and even her description of the suspect barely matches Cruz. I think this is the one, the case that gets me back into the game. We've got plenty saved, so I can take this pro bono. Corsino Cruz is just some poor fool who's being set up as the bad guy, because the state needs him to be. The hell with that, he's innocent, and I'm going to prove it. Time to show Sean how tough his mommy really is. Lastly, in the house opposite the sole survivor's old house, where the Sanctuary workshop is located, another terminal would have been found. In it, the house's owner, Rose, would have written about rebuilding a Corvega with her son, and how it brought them closer. She also mentions the Red Rocket filling station down the road. There are unused humming voice lines that were meant to play when the player character would either be using the cooking station or the workbench. Did you know that there's a whole alternative route cut from the Blind Betrayal quest that would have allowed Danse to stay in the Brotherhood? In the final release, you are tasked by Elder Maxon to find Danse and execute him for being a synth. Once you find him, taking refuge in Listening Post Bravo, you will be faced with 2 options. Either allow Danse to live or kill him. Choosing to spare Danse and convincing Maxon not to kill him as well will still see him exiled from the Brotherhood. This is where the cut content comes in. According to a bunch of unused voice lines, the player could have convinced Danse to confront Maxon on his decision to execute him.
When Haylen warned me about Quinlan's discovery, she begged me to confront Maxon. She told me that there were Brotherhood soldiers that still believed in me, that would stand behind me if I challenged his authority. At the time, I told her that it wouldn't be right to cause a rift in our ranks. We're on the brink of war with the Institute, and weakening our unity felt like I'd be backstabbing my own troops. But knowing that you're still with me, maybe that will be enough to convince Maxon that he's making a mistake. I'll come back to the Prydwen with you, and we'll confront Maxon together.
Once face to face, Danse would have then challenged Maxon's authority as Elder, which is settled in combat as written in the litany.
As a Brotherhood of Steel Paladin, I'm issuing a formal challenge against your authority as Elder. We'll settle this matter as it was written in the litany, in combat.
We'll settle this soon.
If Danse won and killed Maxon, he would have then asked you to become the new leader of the Brotherhood of Steel as Elder.
I hope that's enough to convince you to take your place as Elder of the Brotherhood. I know you need some time to come to grips with everything. Hell, all of us do. I'm going to head up to the Prydwen and discuss our next move with Kells. When you're ready, meet me on the command deck, and I'll give you a full report. Sir.
Danse would have then given a speech to the troops on board the Prydwen.
This body might be synth, but my heart and mind belong to the Brotherhood. The Institute is still a tremendous threat to the Commonwealth. They possess technologies that need to be confiscated or destroyed. And even if that means I have to pull the trigger on my own kind, I'm willing to make that sacrifice. The litany's clear. We have a new Elder. Only a single question remains. Will the rest of the Brotherhood fall in line?
Yes, sir.
Alternatively, the player could have refused the offer and instead convinced Danse to become the new Elder. In the Nuka World DLC, cut quantum Deathclaws were once meant to appear mutated in the same way as the Nuka Lurks. They would have resembled glowing Deathclaws, but with a teal-blue glow instead of green. 3 unused signs can be found referencing locations that never made it into the final game, like Ruffo's Bakery, that reads, specializing in wedding cakes, and Cannoli by the dozen, Greasy Gear Clock Repair, and Nut Island Wastewater Treatment Plant that was meant to appear in the place of the Warwick Homestead. Patches is a cut raider doctor that was once planned to appear in the combat zone and still has some unused dialogue lines.
Not many doctors around these days. You should let me take a look at you.
Yeah, take a look at me, Doc.
What's feeling off today? What can you tell me?
Just hurt all over.
Huh, you look fine, but... Oh, wait. Yep, that's gonna need to be set back in place. Let's get started.
He would have also sold weapons and chems.
Are doctors allowed to sell weapons? Isn't that a conflict of interest?
Not really. Let's get back to talking about all these great items I have for sale.
Hunter's journal page is another cut note meant to appear in Nuka World, seemingly written by a disgruntled son tired of living in his father's shadow. Dad was the best hunter in the Commonwealth. Everyone said so. It always grated on me. No matter what I did, it was never enough. It's taken me almost 30 years, but I've finally matched his record. Tonight, I'm going to beat it. I'm going to show everyone who the better hunter really is. There's only one animal he never killed. I've scouted out a den in the hills to the west. Claw Cutter is sharpened and ready to go. Let's see how well it works against the Deathclaw. 2 terminals were cut from the Mass Bay Medical Center, detailing the events that occurred during and after the bombs fell in 2077. One would have belonged to a nurse named Bonnie, and the other to a doctor. We'll start with the nurse's terminal first. Entry number 1. Business as usual. Business as usual. Problems with other nurses, problems with patients. Entry number 2. Not a drill. Air raid sirens. They're saying it's not a drill. Bombs going off. Entry number 3. War. War going on. Perimeter set up. Riots in the streets. Families still out there and stuck here, not letting medical personnel leave. Entry number 4. It's too much. More people than we can help. Overwhelmed. Vertibird crashed into building, took out the department. Entry number 5. Dr. Sharma. Dr. Sharma was executed last night. Said he was stealing supplies. Major had him thrown off the roof. Said it wasn't worth wasting a bullet. Been here over 3 months. Fighting still rampant in the city, but need to try to get out. Seeing the way that sergeant has started looking at us, even in our filthy scrubs. Entry number 6. Radio. Hearing the radio signal and planning to escape. The other terminal most likely belongs to Dr. Sharma. It has 4 entries. Heading out early. Plans to meet someone for brunch after shift. Clinic hours. Trying to get through appointments quickly to slip out. Let the med students handle it. One med student in particular. Next entry. Made it back. Military extracted me from a shelter, brought me here. Med students are still here except for one who tried to leave and was killed by a looter. Entry number 3. Not even a surgeon. Overwhelmed, hours in surgery, not even a surgeon. Military has started turning people away. Major has ordered a full stop on any incoming patients not of their unit. City council member tried to get through and was killed. Entry number 4. Major Howell. Major Howell ordered the director to pull the plug on all life support patients. Conserve resources for military personnel. One of the techs blew out his back, helping carry in wounded soldiers, and they wouldn't spare him painkillers. Going to try to slip some to him later tonight. Alright, so that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, check out my other cut content video next. And thanks for watching.